Thank you for joining us for this look at some of the best stories from KPBS News this week. I'm Jacob Ayer. Coming up, it's been 2 years since the flood disaster that destroyed homes in San Diego. See what's been done to minimize the chance of a similar event. And we've seen more protests surrounding immigration enforcement. Now, a local county supervisor says she wants to inspect one of our local detention centers. Plus, the San Diego International Jewish Film Festival is underway. KPBS cinema junkie Beth Alcamando shares her recommendations. We start with a KPBS investigation that touches on the intersection of technology, the environment, and politics. It's playing out in Imperial County, where plans for a $10 billion data center are quietly moving forward. KPBS reporter Corey Suzuki found the developer of the project is openly seeking to avoid California's environmental review laws. Here are the first 2 installments of our 3-part series.
I'm standing in an empty lot in the city of Imperial. If you come here today, the place is quiet. It's on unincorporated county land, with dry, cracking earth and some small shrubs. Along the eastern edge, you can see homes peeking over the fence.
My house is down there, is one of those, so I'll be sharing a fence, with this data center if it goes through.
That's Francisco Leal, an engineer and a resident of Imperial. In a year or two, he says things could look very different here. That's because this is the planned site of a massive data center. At 1 million square feet, it would be one of the largest in California. The data center could use almost twice the amount of energy that all of Imperial County used in 2024. That's according to estimates shared by the project's developer and state data. It could also need around 750,000 gallons of water per day. But despite that need for resources, the developers behind the project are openly trying to avoid California's environmental review process, as they hope to cash in on the AI gold rush.
Our whole goal is speed on data centers.
Sebastian Rucci is a Southern California entrepreneur and one of the leaders of Imperial Valley Computer Manufacturing, the company that's trying to build the data center. Rucci says they want to get it up and running as fast as possible.
With ChatGPT going online, the demand has increased exponentially. And so they're going to come. And people, developers, hyperscalers are looking for friendly territory. That's why you're seeing so many in Texas and some in Ohio. California is not really a place that people would say is friendly. But unlike others, I believe that I can get it done.
Data centers are essentially giant warehouses filled with high-powered computer chips. They've been part of the infrastructure of the internet for a long time. But recently, these facilities have become essential to the ambitions of generative AI companies, which need unprecedented amounts of computing power to run these complex programs like ChatGPT.
The largest market in the U.S. and in the world is located in Virginia. But because of the demand of those products and services, we're seeing, a broader build out of different markets across the U.S.
Kara Bunder is a policy analyst with the Data Center Coalition, an industry group that's active in California. She says data center developers are now looking to rural areas where land is more affordable, and they hope to face less opposition.
That can incentivize developers to move to those areas if they're able to connect and come up to power more quickly than in those other urban, denser areas.
To Rucci, Imperial County seems like the perfect fit.
I think Imperial County is a great opportunity because they have a lot of renewable energy down there. They have a lot of potential. Also, economically, it's a place with very, very high unemployment. Just the right location.
To speed things up, Rucci has taken things a step further. In California, most development projects have to go through a process called environmental review, where state and local governments have to study the possible environmental effects and share them with the public. That process can take a lot of time, and developers often have to scale down their project or find other ways to make up for the impacts. To avoid that process, Rucci says he and his colleagues searched for land that was already zoned for industrial use, and where data centers were allowed. They found parcels in 3 areas: the city of El Centro, the city of Imperial, and on unincorporated county land.
That is not sneaky, that's just smart. I only purchased the industrial land that fit in 3 jurisdictions.
Rucci went to the city of Imperial first, but officials there pushed back against the idea that the data center could avoid an environmental review. Dennis Morita is Imperial's city manager.
It was important to our council that the neighbors had a voice in that process.
In August, after months of discussion, Rucci withdrew. Instead, he tried the county of Imperial. County planners agreed with Rucci's terms. Within months, they began clearing the way for his company to start grading the soil. But as more and more people have found out about the project in recent months, it's begun to face fierce opposition. To many Imperial County residents, the lack of environmental analysis for a project of this size has raised serious questions. Leal, the City of Imperial resident, says he's worried the data center will strain the region's rural power grid and water supply, with little benefit for the people who live here.
That's why this issue matters, or should matter, to all Imperial County residents, not just us that live, right next to it. Because at the end of the day, it's power and water.
Rucci says they will take steps to reduce the project's environmental footprint, including by using recycled water and recycling more water than the center actually needs. But for many, Rucci's strategy is also raising questions about his approach. Tomorrow, we'll have more about who the developer is and his past legal troubles. In El Centro, Corey Suzuki, KPBS News.
When you meet Sebastian Rucci, it's hard not to notice his confidence, especially when it comes to his plans to build a massive data center in the Imperial Valley.
I think Imperial County is a great opportunity because they have a lot of renewable energy down there. They have a lot of potential. Also, economically, it's a place with very, very high unemployment. So it's the right location.
Rucci is an entrepreneur and lawyer who lives just outside Palm Desert in the Coachella Valley. As we talked over Zoom last month, I could see golf carts wandering down the manicured green through his window. When Rucci speaks, it's with certainty, even though he's now facing some fierce opposition to the data center from people who live near the proposed project, as well as state and local elected officials.
Look, data centers right now, as you and I speak, they're a national urgency, right? I mean, it's not me creating it. Our president has filed executive orders that says it's for national priority. And we need them because we feel, the country, that there's a competition with China.
But to some extent, that confident air is at odds with Rucci's past. Across the country in Ohio, his previous business ventures have left a trail of criminal investigations and legal complaints. In 2010, local prosecutors charged Rucci and several other people with money laundering, promoting prostitution, and perjury related to a nightclub he owned in the city of Youngstown. That's according to state court records.
I knew it was all politically motivated.
Rucci has an explanation. He says he was unfairly targeted by local officials for political reasons. He points out that he was never convicted. The felony charges against him and the others were eventually thrown out, some because the case took too long to go to trial.
That retaliation ended up in probably, 40, 50 different filings. I won all of them but one.
Afterwards, Rucci started a treatment center for drug addiction, but that business ran into its own problems. Ohio health officials inspected the facility. In 2021, a report found that staff had provided false information about the facility's clients and staff, falsified signatures, and broken various healthcare protocols. Rucci disputes that report, which he says was one-sided. He also emphasizes that the treatment center provided a significant amount of free care to its patients, military veterans in particular. But Rucci acknowledges that the center grew quickly in the beginning.
We opened in the summer that year, the report you're referring to, and it was very messy. We exploded very fast, and the growth was way more than we could handle.
Also in 2021, the FBI started investigating Rucci and the treatment center, according to federal court records. That October, federal agents raided the center and seized more than $600,000. Rucci has an explanation for this, too.
These were all working together. That's the problem. They were all working together.
Federal officials never charged Rucci or the treatment center with any crimes. But state officials did revoke the treatment center's certification, which led to termination of the center's Medicaid contract, and the facility shut down. Rucci fought the federal government. He sued them over the raid and the confiscated funds. Eventually, the government returned the money with interest. Rucci is still seeking copies of the warrants they used to justify the raid, and recently won an appeal. Between the two businesses, Rucci was only ever convicted of one charge, selling beer with an expired license at the nightclub in 2014. He served 30 days in jail. To hear Rucci tell it, in these cases, he was unfairly singled out by local officials in Ohio and by small-town politics. He says his past business history doesn't have anything to do with what he's trying to do here, the giant data center project that he's working on with the county government.
There's nothing to do with what I'm doing here. I'm the guy who put up the money to try to move this project along in Imperial County. I'm the guy who put up the time. I'm now the guy that takes all the hits.
But some people in Imperial County still have concerns.
What is the vetting process for potential developers for the county?
Christopher Scurries is an Imperial County resident and a critic of the project. At a county meeting last week, he raised particular questions about how county officials screen developers that they work with.
Do you do extensive background checks? Do you ensure they have experience in building data centers? Do you ensure that they have an upstanding legal record?
Rucci claims the same thing that happened in Ohio is happening now in Imperial County. He says there's a coordinated campaign going on to sabotage the data center. But Rucci says his experience fighting previous investigations has given him the strength to keep going.
I ain't going nowhere. You can be clear on that.
Tomorrow, we'll look at how Rucci's project has sparked a movement against it in Imperial County, and how it's part of a growing rebellion against data centers across the country. Corey Suzuki, KPBS News.
And you can find part 3 of this KPBS investigation at kpbs.org. Corey Suzuki's online coverage includes even more depth and context. There you can learn about the rise of data centers and the environmental concerns around these projects. A San Diego County supervisor wants to use California's Health and Safety Code to conduct an inspection of the Otay Mesa Detention Center. KPBS reporter Gustavo Solis says calls for local oversight come amid a rising death toll in ICE detention centers nationwide.
As the Trump administration continues its mass deportation campaign, there is a growing concern about conditions inside immigration detention centers. And now, County Supervisor Terrell Osser-Reamer says that it's time for local officials to get access to the privately run federal detention center in Otay Mesa.
It's terrifying, to be frank, the notion that you could have people locked away, incarcerated, with no oversight, and especially as these deaths have been reported.
Last year, 32 people died in Immigration and Customs Enforcement custody, the most since 2004. And so far this month, 6 people have died. None of the deaths happened in Otay Mesa. However, KPBS has reported on several instances of people complaining about poor conditions inside the facility. Lack of oversight of immigration detention centers has been a point of contention throughout President Donald Trump's second term. Federal law gives members of Congress the authority to inspect ICE facilities. But Trump administration officials have barred several Democrats in Congress from entering or inspecting detention centers in San Diego and throughout the country.
I think if ICE was actually doing what it was supposed to do and was being adequately monitored by federal officials, I would feel less need for us as a county to step into this moment and into this vacuum.
Lawson-Reamer says that California's Health and Safety Code gives local officials authority to conduct an inspection.
We, as the county, are responsible for health and safety inspections of facilities countywide. That is a core county function.
But she is worried that federal officials will block the county's inspection. ICE did not respond to questions for this story. Gustavo Solis, KPBS News.
Immigration enforcement is the focus of new guidelines for an East County school district. The Grossmont Union Board of Trustees recently approved the guidelines after months of public requests for clarity and heated discussions among board members. Here's an update from KPBS reporter Elena Alfaro.
The board trustees debated the updated policy at their regular meeting. The policy now affirms every school will be a, quote, safe and welcoming place for all students and their families, irrespective of their citizenship or immigration status, end quote. Clarissa McLaughlin graduated from West Hills High School. She spoke at the meeting and expressed support for the new guidelines.
And so it's important for the community to be involved in the schools and to make sure that students have their best chance at success. And part of that comes with knowing that they are safe and protected.
The updated policy lays out clear steps for teachers and staff if ICE agents show up at schools. Staff will direct ICE officers to an administrator, who is then required to review the officer's ID. And it clarifies the district will not share student or family information with ICE agents without a warrant. But the board's sign-off follows 3 months of disagreement. Trustees Jim Kelly and Gary Woods voted no. Here's Kelly.
This is anarchy, this is insurrection, and I can't support it.
Kelly even tried to make bets with other trustees that ICE wouldn't show up at Grossmont Union schools this year.
How about you making the bet, conversely, that if they don't come, you'll take my wife and I out to dinner at the restaurant.
Okay, Mr. Kelly, I'm going to call you out of order. This is not a forum for gambling.
Nobody here believes it's going to happen.
The board's 4-member conservative majority often votes in a block, but this time conservative trustees Scott Eckert and Robert Shield joined Chris Feit to pass the measure. Here's Feit.
The bottom line is this is good for students, and it also reassures people in our community that ICE will not come here with their inappropriately trained people.
The district plans to provide staff training on responding to potential immigration enforcement moving forward. Elaine Alfaro, KPBS News.
That was one of our most popular stories this week at kpbs.org. Here are some others. San Diego joins nationwide walkouts to protest the Trump administration as the president marks the first year of his second term. And California's plastic bag ban is only part of a broader effort. Plus, San Marcos' historic Pink House is getting a new roof. We'll have that story a bit later. You can sign up for our newsletters to get our most popular list every Friday. This week marked 2 years since one of the worst natural disasters to hit San Diego in recent memory. Intense rain led to catastrophic flooding in the Southcrest neighborhood of Southeast San Diego. We have 2 stories on the recovery and healing from that day with KPBS reporters Andrew Bowen and Katie Hyson.
Beta Street in Southcrest sits at the bottom of the Chollas Creek watershed. When torrential rains hit the city on January 22nd, 2024, the channel here was overwhelmed. Houses flooded, residents fled to their roofs. Since then, the city has been working to keep the Beta Street channel clear of debris and invasive plants, says Leslie Reynolds of the nonprofit Groundwork San Diego.
It's basically just maintaining the channel, taking out what is the most invasive plant in the watershed, which is arundo. It's a large bamboo-like growth that traps the water, expands the flooding, and is extremely unmanageable. It's a hard maintenance task, but it's one that the city is undertaking. You won't see any of that here in this segment now.
In addition to the ongoing channel maintenance, the city is also designing a larger storm drain system for the area. It's complicated and expensive work, digging underground to expand pipes and installing a new pump. Congress recently earmarked $1.1 million for the project, enough to cover about 1% of the total cost. Reynolds says design work is underway, with construction scheduled to start in 2029. Meanwhile, she's working with the city and residents to identify improvements to the trails that run parallel to the channel.
What kind of assets can be brought to this park while all of the undergrounding and so on of a new drainage system is going on? So it really will ultimately be a multi-benefit project with climate-resilient recreational opportunities and so on for the community.
Greg Montoya is a homeowner on Beta Street. The flooding 2 years ago damaged his home and property.
The refrigerator was tossed over. The trailer, the jet skis that I have here were out against the fence. It was pretty devastating. I was lost for words.
Just yesterday, Montoya got a letter from the city with some maps showing where they'll soon be conducting soil testing for the storm drain improvements. But still, he's skeptical.
My opinion is I won't believe it till I actually see it done and completed, because the city will come in and do something and then abandon it.
Even if the improvements on Beta Street get fully funded, the city still has a deficit of more than $3.7 billion in stormwater infrastructure needs over the next 5 years. The city's independent budget analyst says until enough voters are willing to pay higher taxes, that problem will only get worse. Andrew Bowen, KPBS News.
On the second anniversary of the floods, neighbors gather in Shelltown to pray. They ask God to help them to heal and to win in court against the city of San Diego.
So they'll take us seriously because they've never taken us seriously before. Or else this area wouldn't look the way it does, or it wouldn't be flooded the way it floods.
Their lawsuit claims the city failed to maintain storm channels in their neighborhoods, which are majority Latino and low income. And they say not enough has changed since the floods.
Because the canal or the creek is not clean.
Beba Zarate wants the city to more regularly maintain the storm channels.
So whenever the raining is coming, there is some kind of issues because the trash is out there.
The city didn't immediately respond to questions from KPBS. Zarate says the survivors still carry trauma.
I feel like here and not here. You know, when You're trying to be yourself, but that is something that takes you back to the date of what happened 2 years ago.
Que haya mucha fe y perseverancia en toda persona en este barrio.
After a blessing, they release balloons into the sky to show that they, too, will rise from the wreckage. Katie Hyson, KPBS News.
Our coverage this week includes an episode of KPBS Midday Edition focusing on flood survivors and recovery. You can subscribe to KPBS Midday Edition wherever you get your podcasts. It also airs live on KPBS FM weekdays at noon. Now in its 36th year, the San Diego International Jewish Film Festival kicks off this weekend at the David and Dorothy Garfield Theater in University City. KPBS cinema junkie Beth Accomando previews the festival.
Once again, it's time for the San Diego International Jewish Film Festival.
This is going to be fun.
For more than 3 decades, the festival has celebrated Jewish culture through film and used cinema to inspire, entertain, and foster connection.
It's so fabulous to have you here. Something that I hadn't expected in the octogenarian years.
Expect the unexpected as the festival kicks off Saturday with the first of 3 Joyce short film series programs, along with the feature Once Upon My Mother. Women show up powerfully this year, providing a display of passionate activism that might just be the motivation we need right now. Iron Ladies documents the story of Jewish housewives and mothers who, at the height of the Cold War, defended the rights and freedoms of Soviet Jews in the USSR and won. Known as the 35s, this international network of women had no prior political experience, but they refused to stand idly by.
To be really effective, we had to get under the teeth of the Soviet government. We tried to stay within the law, but we were probably on the edge.
No one could control them. You could advise them, sure.
If not this group of 35 women, we all will be dead.
In the animated film Where is Anne Frank?, Kitty, the imaginary friend to whom Anne dedicated her diary, comes to life in the present day and is shocked to see how history repeats itself, but also inspired by Anne's enduring legacy.
Anne did not write this diary so that you could worship her. What is important...
Get in the truck.
Do everything you can to save one single soul from harm.
Exemplifying that idea is Henrietta Zold.
I guess you could say she was the greatest Jewish feminist icon you've never heard of.
With the documentary Labors of Love, The Life and Legacy of Henrietta Zold, filmmaker Abby Ginsberg hopes to change all that. Zold was a Victorian woman transformed into a pioneering political activist we can still learn from today.
I feel like I resurrected her views of why it was so important to not ignore the fact that there were Arabs who lived in Palestine. So Henrietta felt like we should be able to work this out. Her viewpoint did not win out, and we are looking at some of the terrible repercussions that come from the choices that were made back in the 30s and the 40s. So one lesson would be, well, if you agree with Henrietta's view that we have to somehow figure out how not to go for either a maximalist Jewish position or a maximalist Arab position, what does that look like today?
Learning lessons is also key in the documentary The Last Spy.
My name is Peter Sichel. I'm 100 years old. I was the head of the CIA in Berlin, then worked in Washington with the CIA, and ultimately ended up at Chief Station in Hong Kong.
He gives an often critical view of U.S. foreign intelligence from the inside.
Collecting reliable intelligence is difficult enough, but people in high places have an idea of what it should be. And if the intelligence doesn't fit, they don't believe the intelligence.
So why did you stay?
It's like being on a drug. It is a fascinating game.
And it's a fascinating film that provides candid insights that illuminate ongoing issues today, showing how we're still not learning from the past. The San Diego International Jewish Film Festival serves up shorts, features, and documentaries that take us through history and personal narratives, sometimes with joy sometimes with pain, but always with a desire to foster understanding and dialogue. Beth Accomando, KPBS News.
Hundreds of people drive past San Marcos's Pink House, close to Via Vera Cruz and Discovery Street, without knowing its history. The city is now replacing the dilapidated roof on the building. KPBS North County reporter Alexander Nguyen delves into the house's history and what's next for its future.
This old house, as beaten up and weathered as it is, has a lot of history.
She is an historical part of our city.
In fact, the house is older than the city. Though no one really knows when it was built, the best estimate was between
the late 1800s to the early 1900s,
making the house more than 100 years old. It was built by widower Wilhelm Meyer, who moved to the area with his 3 daughters.
Mr. Meyer was a farmer, and he decided that he was going to put his house here, raise his family, and then also make sure that he grew his crops here.
The house used to be here in this corner, but because of the creek project, the city moved the house there to its current location.
Joe Weiss remembers getting into mischief at the home in his younger days.
We used to party in this house way back when, 55 or so years ago. And there was nothing in San Marcos at the time.
He stopped by as we were taping the interview with the mayor. He says there were a lot of memories made here when his friends lived here.
I remember this house because I used to pick him up to go to work and then drop him back off, and he'd always say, hey, let's go inside and have a couple of drinks.
Mayor Jones says the city plans to restore the home to its former glory, though there is no definitive timeline for that yet.
But we definitely want her to be, brought back to her restored state because, again, we really do believe in the whole history and preserving it.
It's a landmark. It's been here for a long, long time, and they want to keep it.
In San Marcos, Alexander Nguyen, KPBS News.
We hope you enjoyed this look at KPBS News this week. I'm Jacob Ayer. Thank you for joining us.